Can you hear me, Mr. Zerg?
Oh,
Yo, yo.
yo, what's up? I just forgot I had the push to talk.
Oh, okay. You can, if you want to, you can change it to sensitivity if it's more.
Yeah, I'm gonna real quick.
All right. Sounds good.
Yo, yo, is that fine?
Yeah, it's good. Sounds good.
Cool. What's up, man?
Not much. What's up with you?
I'm fine.
It's good. Staying healthy. I hope.
Yeah. Yeah, started playing video games again. Like, I didn't play a video game much for like 3 years, but now I'm getting back into StarCraft, having
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Nice, dude. It's the quarantine gaming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good shit, dude. All right. So you give me like a rundown really fast for your race, what league you're in, and kind of just in general like a quick overview of
Okay.
what you want to work on.
I'm a Zerg player, and right now I'm Diamond 3800 MMR,
Okay.
and I'm getting shit on by Terran.
Okay. Sure.
And
Sounds reasonable.
that's pretty much it. Yeah, my ZvZ is, I think it's my best matchup right now. My ZvP is like random, it's not stable, and ZvT is just awful.
Okay. What server do you normally play on? Are you an NA player?
Yeah, NA. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and if you're online already, just go ahead and
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Just click
how do you want me?
click your avatar in top right, your little portrait.
Yeah.
Click ladders on your profile in the middle of the screen.
Yeah.
And then in the same spot, hit Grandmaster. Scroll down to rank 88, and then you can send me
88.
a direct message. We can
All right.
get this party started, dude. Yo, yo, yo. All right, so I'm gonna make you group leader. Go ahead and host up the replay. You want to go and do first, and then before you start it in the lobby, make me the lobby host.
All right.
All right, man. Terran. So, Terran. Okay. Would you say, do you struggle more against bio or mech, or do you struggle like just kind of the
Both.
same against both? Both.
Yeah, both.
Okay.
Like this game especially is bio, and I'm getting dropped from like 3 places at the same time. And I just can't handle the pressure. Actually, I don't know what to do during the pressure.
Okay.
And yeah. So I already I have some notes and timings about that replay that I'm gonna ask you some questions.
Sure.
So yeah, when we get to that point, I'm just gonna ask
Sure.
you, because I know that at those moments I didn't know what the fuck to do.
Okay. Yeah. We'll definitely we can talk about it. We'll definitely talk about your scouting. See how you react to certain things and ideas about how your build can be improved upon what you see.
Yeah, sure.
But in general, against Terran, I really like if you're gonna. I imagine, are you a standard player? Are you like a Ling speed opener?
Yeah.
Okay, that's most people. So, going for like a 17 hatch and then taking behind that like an 18 gas 17 pool is great. So you're.
Well, when you say standard, I'm going like pretty much 16 hatch every game and
Sure.
18 pool, 18 gas, 17 pool.
That's fine. It's not that big of a deal. I actually I will say I don't think you need to go 16 hatch against Terran because Terran never really abuses that. Only Protoss and Zerg do. So if you want to, you could go 17 hatch against Terran, but if you go 16 hatch, it's really not that. It's very, very minor, the difference. So it doesn't matter that much. You make it simple for yourself and just go 16, I guess, every game if you want to. The big one though is going to be how much gas you mine and what you do with your gas. That's a huge one.
Okay.
All right.
And like right now, like what should I just? I can't really look at what you're looking, right?
No, you can't. I'm really just looking at your mineral line so far.
Okay.
But I'll explain what I'm gonna look at. And like right now, for instance, your second Overlord. I like your first Overlord, kinda, but I can see the angle is like, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you clicked the cliff with the Overlord, your first one.
I think the good spot, like where like
where you want to chill.
Yeah.
Okay, from now on, what I want you to do is I want you to click his ramp at his going from the main to the natural.
Here?
Yeah, like just like the very like tip of his ramp, like where it starts going down in his main. And the reason why is because it's if your Overlord does, like, for instance, it runs up the fucking the side of the map a bit more, you are going to potentially miss SCV pulls if this guy is going to do some type of an all-in if you're playing this way. Like, you might not realize, oh shit, he actually did something really, really aggressive and he SCV pulled me. Because
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do that in ZvT.
Okay.
But, yeah, but I normally I do this because like I'm scared of Marines, and I think I didn't really think about that about SCV pull. I never faced that, but that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, because also like if he goes for a standard build and he goes Marine first and then he starts poking your Overlord right away, you can on a lot of maps you can still get your Overlord out of there and save it. Like, for instance, if you look at where your Overlord is right now, if this guy would have gone Marine first and he just runs out in the open and he tries to kill your Overlord, he would connect to your Overlord about the time when your Overlord would be crossing over that mineral field that it's going towards right now. Like,
okay,
like
so it's still safe.
yeah, like as it's flying over it right then, and you could just fly to that cliff with the flag on it right next to the minerals, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
So like, in a lot of maps have stuff like that, like it's like a terrain where you could just like fly over a cliff and like avoid it or some shit like that. But even if he waits and he saves the Marine and he waits till he has like 2, if you spot the barracks and you see no Reaper at all, and you see that he's still pumping shit out of the barracks, you could have a choice then to go, all right, well, the Reaper, and he's still making stuff out of the barracks, so I'm going to now maybe back up away from the barracks, and I'm going to now like skirt the edge of like where his natural would be. And if you see a natural, you can already rule out that it's a Reaper all in. If you don't see a natural, maybe now you want to like send a Zergling over, or maybe then you'd want to sack the Overlord because you're like, well, shit, I want to for sure know if this is going to be like some weird ass all in that he's just like stockpiling for, or if I need to, you know, react to this in any way, or if I can just be fine. Because at that point, sacking an Overlord wouldn't be the worst idea. Like, it would be actually be minimal cost for you to react properly. Because if it was like, oh, well, he has a natural on the high ground and he's actually just like making Marines on the high ground, like he's just playing super safe. You losing that Overlord, but then not making like 12 lings is so much better than just making like starting to panic and be like, oh fuck, we're gonna die.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
So yeah, definitely. Always try to get a read as fast as you can on that ramp and on the natural together simultaneously. And then second Overlord, I'm gonna pause it again one more time. Second Overlord, I really like the second Overlord sitting kind of in front of your natural, in between that choke point where the hallway is. Because if the way you could do there is if the guy proxies you in any way, if he starts building bunkers, you will see the like, you don't have to see the barracks, but you can see the bunker because it's where his things are going to eventually end up. And it can you can react to it much faster, because like, let's just say right now he had a bunker that was like 30% of the way done right now. He just started it maybe like 10 seconds ago or 8 seconds ago, and it's on its way. You could react to that by pulling drones. You could deny the bunker. You could react to that by saving your larva, which you're not doing right now. You could then make a bunch of lings. So you don't actually know if he's gonna cheese you, because if there were like, let's just say there was like 2 racks proxied on the right side of your third, and then as soon as they were done, he immediately moved an SCV up and built a bunker outside of range of the hatchery that's being built, but inside a range of the bunker to shoot your hatchery. That would be a problem for you right now because you have no idea. So the perfect way to fix that is leave your Overlord in front of your natural until your natural is like about what it is now, when it's like 95% of the way done, like it's just about to finish, and then you can then send the Overlord out to where you're kind of doing where you're going now with your second Overlord, which is like on the right side of his main base, like on the other side of the main. And then, because the thing is that's important here is your Overlord still gets to the main base of your opponent in time for your scout that you want to use, which is around 4 minutes to 4:30. That's when you want to go in with his base.
I guess like the second Overlord, when he's gonna get to like near his base, he's gonna be like idle for like a minute and a half.
Yep.
So I could have done, the nuts. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was drinking water. Yeah, and that's like that time when it could have been scouting your natural, just to keep you safer from like random proxies.
Yeah, nice.
All right, and then another thing. I personally like to take my drones off of gas. Like, if you're gonna go for a third and you're gonna go for speed, all right, that's it's a very, very standard build. I am all for it. But if you're going to play a game that is going to be macro based, and it's not going to be some type of an all in or something like that, something I like to do is I like to actually rip drones off gas, maybe even a little bit early before you have your 100 gas for speed. This is something I've been doing a bit more recently. And the reason why is because I'm going to let it scout a little bit further. Hold on.
Even before you have speed?
Yeah. So this is also why I really want you to scout with this Overlord at his main base, because it's chilling on the cliff right now. And if you find this is the reason why. If you know he's expanding, you do not need to rush speed. You're still going to get it, but you don't need to rush it, because if you rush the speed, look what's happening right now. You're spinning all your larvae, which is great. You are making your queens, which is great. But there's always a trade-off, because there's a third thing you got to be doing, which is take your third base. Which is, it would be nice if you could have a little bit of a faster third, and there's no way he can punish you for that right now, because he doesn't have a, if he had a command center, he doesn't have any form of all-in coming at you. So getting that scout is fucking huge, because then you could be like, all right, well, how about, I'm still going to make the third, I'm still going to get speed, but how about now, instead of going for speed then third, how about now I go third then speed?
Third and speed, yeah.
Yeah, and then if you didn't see a natural, and you're like, okay, yeah, this guy is making like Reapers, and I just saw 2 of them leave his base. He's going Reaper all in. He could then you could then go, all right, well, I'm gonna definitely prioritize speed, and then get a third later.
So from that first scout with the Overlord, you can like slow down on the gas and then get your third faster.
Yeah. Yes. So you rip off 2 drones off gas around like 70 to like 72 to like 76 in there. You just take 2 drones off. If you see, oh shit, yeah, it's not, there's no natural, because you're going to be taking drones off of gas just before you get to his natural on most maps. Some maps that are shorter, you'll get there already, but some maps that have a little bit of a longer distance, you'll be getting there just a little bit later. But if you see no natural, you can put 2 drones back on gas from the middle line just to do like 1 or 2 trips, just to make sure you get your speed started quickly, and then take them back off again. Just in case, like, you know, if you think you're getting all in. But if it's not an all-in, having the extra amount of minerals a little bit faster and having a little bit of a delayed speed is going to help you do things like, again, spin your larva, make your queens, and get your third down all faster. And then you take your speed. And then your speed still finishes. Your speed will still finish in time for you to deal with, like, marine tank timings. And when he gets up to, like, 6 Hellions and shit, you're still great.
Nice, nice.
It just gives you an edge in the early game. And then, okay, another thing too, your natural queen. Try to make this a habit. Always tumor your natural instead of injecting your natural. Try never to double inject. Because again, if your plan, which it is to take a third base, and you're going to go for like a gas rip high mineral style, you want that creep to be spread to your third quickly, because it allows you to be mobile with your queens. And the idea you want to go for here, the perfect way to defend this is, however many entrances there are to your base is how many Overlords you need, and on this map there are 3, because in front of your natural there's 2 entrances. There's a top ramp and there's a bottom ramp, and in front of your third there's another open area. If you have an Overlord, it like kind of centered in the middle of those areas, where it's like this Overlord spots the bottom ramp easy, this Overlord spots the top ramp easy, and this last Overlord spots the big open area in front of my third easy. The idea is you have your Overlords in front of where your creep is. And your queens, if they have creep spread, they can be mobile to go, okay, Hellions are going up, let's go up. Hellions are going down, let's go down. They're going up, we'll go up. And you just keep zoning the Hellions with your queens. And then, go ahead.
No, I said okay.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to say something. Sure, okay.
No.
But yeah, no, it's super effective.
I'm just confused. Like, did you say that you want me, like, the queen at my nut, you want me to put a tumor before injecting?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So the way I want you to do it, this is how I want you to build your queens and your stuff. Your main hatchery builds a queen, and then it just kind of chills. That's just it. You just inject, and that's all it's going to do. Your natural hatchery, your first queen at your natural does a tumor, and then it sits there to guard the tumor for a little bit and waits, and then you immediately start a second queen behind the first queen. And then the queen that is tumoring, that is, you know, at your natural, you can then take your queen and you can do a second tumor. You can either do a second tumor in front of your natural again, next to your existing one, and just make it spread at a more, you know, more of an angle where it covers more ground. Or you can connect your main to your natural. Like, you can put a tumor backwards it'll like connect your main to your natural, and you can spread it all through your main to like cover the dark spots, which could be drops later. So your first queen at your natural is going to be 2 tumors. And then after the second tumor, you run the queen to your third base, and it now becomes an injector. Okay. Your second queen at your natural that gets built becomes an injector again, and then from that point you're going to be on 3 queens, because you made 2 out of the natural, 1 out of the main, and you've now spread them out to be 1 per hatchery. You then make 2 queens at a time out of your natural and your third. You never make them out of your main because you're eventually going to take a layer and you don't want it to be queued up with a queen. So you make 2 at a time out of your natural and your third, and you're going to go up to about 7 queens. So you're going to make 2 rounds of 2 queens. So you can have 4 creep spread queens. Or if you're paranoid about what build he's doing, like maybe you think it's a battlecruiser opener, or it's something more focused where queens are going to be great, you can go up to like 9 queens, and that would be great too.
Okay.
So yeah, but like 7 queens is like three injectors, 4 spreaders. That's for, I would say, for your level, for like diamond going. You said diamond like 2.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's just fine.
Cool.
Oh my! Oh, nice, dude. That was good. I'm proud of you. A lot of people they fall under the pressure right there. He got it done. I like that you were trying to still, like, a lot of people would have just chased him with the drone and just let the drone die because it would have kept getting focus fired, but you kept trying to actually you kept trying to build it.
That turned down.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad that you tried to build it actively. That's the right thing to do. All right, so going back to your build again, talking about it some more. Your the reason as well why I say I don't want you to inject your natural first and do creep instead is because the creep is going to be beneficial for you for the other reasons I just said a second ago, but you're not going to be able to afford making your queens, making your overlords, and also making your drones simultaneously if you're making multiple queens and having that much larva there. Like, it's going to be too expensive.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You're right. Yeah, because you want to spend those larvae.
Yeah.
You don't want to get larva cap.
Exactly.
And then, like, that money will prevent you from getting, like, the other stuff quickly.
Yeah, and then when you think about like this too, think about this as well, which is indirect larva salvaging that a lot of people don't think about. But if you spread creep to your third with your first queen at your natural, it'll allow you to have creep spread that is guaranteed going to be at your third by the time Hellions show up. And if you optimize queen defense instead of zergling defense, you are not bleeding out lings, and you are not wasting larvae to rebuild lings either. So it actually has a bigger trade-off of
that makes sense.
You salvage more larvae that way because you could bleed out 5 to 10 larvae worth of lings and have to rebuild it over and over and over if you have no creep and you're forced to use lings to defend because queens are fucking going so slow to your third base.
Yeah, because most of the time, like when there's alien, I do a bunch of lings, and then I lost like a bunch of them just to like pull off all the to push like the aliens away.
Yeah.
And I need to remake those, and instead of that, I could have just defended with queens and just build drones.
Yeah, man, 100%. And then the correct thing you want to do as well is right about now when you're so your speed's going to be a little bit later because if you do the thing I was talking about where you take 2 drones off gas and you don't prioritize the speed, it's not going to be this fast. It's probably going to be like 15 to 20 seconds later. But what you want to try to start doing is when your speed is almost done, okay? When it's like 60 plus, you want to make an additional like 8 zerglings or so, or like 10 zerglings. And on top of what you already made for the Reaper. So you'll go up to like maybe like 12 lings, okay? Something around there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It could be 10 lings, it could be 14 lings. It doesn't matter. It's just as long as it's in that range. Don't make like 24. Don't make like 6. Try to have like 10 to 14. And what you want to do then is if you're playing a Terran, which I'm sure you've played against Terrans like this before, that are fucking YOLO, and they're like, fucking go, Hellions, get in the mineral line. They just drive past your queens. They don't give a shit. That's when you use your lings because that is when you're also on creep no matter what. So even if you don't get the perfect surround with your lings initially as you like zone him and you jump on top of him to kill the Hellions, if he tries to run away from your lings, you have creep that goes further out because you've spread it already. So it makes it easier to then re-zone him with your queens and also have your lings potentially get on top of him and surround him and kill him. Like just because.
Okay, so
go ahead.
You don't commit your lings against aliens unless he goes full YOLO into like the mineral lines.
Yeah, exactly. If you play perfect, you do not ever attack with your lings off creep, and you do not ever fight with your lings before your queens have fought.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. The only time it ever makes sense to use your lings to attack Hellions is if your strategy is not droning, but instead it is mass zerglings, and the purpose of that build is to get map control quickly and then go across the map and kill him. But if you're going drones, you don't need to do that. You just don't waste your lings because it's larvae that you have to waste to not make drones then.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Cool.
Nice, nice, nice. And yeah, that alone, if you just start doing that, dude, you're like, your games are going to be like, wow, I'm just fucking crushing Terran in supply every single time on the opener. Like, it'll just happen over and over. Yeah, because
Nice.
it's so efficient.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I want to try that now.
So now,
Yeah, I didn't do it.
with your scouting and stuff, you just kind of skirted in, saw as natural, which I like that you eventually saw it. I do want you to scout this a lot faster, like we talked about earlier. But you did see 3 Marines, which like you kind of backed off before your Overlord was going to die. There could be more there, but that definitely tells you that this dude is probably going for some type of a bio style. It could be 2-1-1. It could be defensive Marine, some bullshit, like some type of Marine variation. So you don't fully know what it is. So I would definitely love it if in about the next 15 seconds, this Overlord on the right side of his main, on the bottom middle of the map, I want you to scout into his base at around 4 minutes. That would be perfect if you did that, because you.
I think that's what's happening. I'm not sure at what time I'm scouting this game.
It's if you
normally
don't.
It's around that time.
Okay. If you don't though, just always keep in mind, if you can't have, if you haven't already figured out what Terran's up to yet, this is the perfect time to scout it. And then like you should always scout it no matter what anyways. If you can if it hasn't been killed by like a Viking or something, because this will also tell you most of the time if the Terran is going for mech or bio, or if the Terran's being really greedy. Like one of those is going to be announced in his base basically. Like for sure he's already got 1-1-1 if he is going 1-1-1, but now like you can already see, look, he's going for multiple barracks and he's going for a 3rd command center. So if you scouted this right now, your Overlord would probably be like, if you sent your Overlord in at 4 minutes, it would probably be flying over where the command center is being built right now. At this point, and then you would be like, okay, 3rd command center, 2 racks, a tech lab, factory, and now a starport. You could be like, okay, this looks like tank marine. It's not all in either. This is one of those builds that is more focused on the 3rd because he's going for a 3rd CC instead of like 5 racks. So it's not going to be a 2 base timing. 2 base timings, they hit similar to 3 base timings. A 2 base timing can hit between like 6 minutes and 7 minutes. A 3 base timing usually hits around 7 minutes. But the difference is, or go ahead, you go.
No, I'm just agreeing and like.
Okay. I keep thinking you want to say something, and I don't want to keep cutting you off. So like 6 to 7 minutes is both of those kinds of timings, 2 or 3 base timings. But the difference is a 3 base timing is usually going to be around 7 minutes, and it's going to be a little bit of units. It's going to be more of a harassment. But a 2 base like 5 racks timing is going to be, it could be around 6-ish minutes, but and then again it'll be earlier in the game, but not too many units. But it'll be parade pushed behind that, so it'll grow as time goes on. But if either build hits you at 7 minutes, which could happen, the 3rd base one is going to be considered a harass. The 2 base one is going to be considered an all in because it's going to be like twice the fucking size.
Okay.
So you definitely just seeing that he's going for this kind of a build, that he's going marine tank.
Gives me like free time. Gives me like almost 3 minutes. Like
exactly. I would say you easily have enough time to saturate your 3rd and then develop an army to defend it.
And you said like a 2 base timing hits at what time? Sorry.
A 2 base all in could be between 6 and 7 minutes most of the time. That's unless the guy's really weird. He pushes without medevacs or something.
Okay.
But if he pushes with like a actual composition, 6 minutes would be as fast as he probably could do it, and that would be like, we're talking maybe like 2 tanks, like 12 Marines, and like 1 medevac, or maybe 2 medevacs, if he swaps a reactor onto it really quick. Or if he waits till like 7 minutes, double that, like literally double that whole army.
Okay, sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm scouting at that time. Yeah. It's a bit late. I'm gonna see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit late. I do at the very least. I like that you saw the 3rd base though. Like that in itself is a lot of information, because you're like, okay, a tech lab being upgraded and there's a 3rd command center.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know what's the building, and my reaction was to put Spore because I don't really know the timings in general, but like since I didn't know what building was attached to the tech lab, and I saw a bunch of marine, I thought he was hiding his tech, so I thought it was like low benchy or something.
Sure. No, I honestly, I obviously it's since we know it's going to be first impact, it is wrong, but I don't mind that you built the spores. I will say if you scouted at the proper time, you wouldn't have been in this situation. You're a little late, But if this does happen, I still think you made the right choice for what the current game is. Like if I was sitting next to you watching you play this and that was happening, I would be like, yeah, you should build spores. So
cool.
yeah, it is fine. Because if it was Banshees and you don't react to it at all, you would take way more damage than what the spores cost.
Yeah.
And around 5 minutes, this could totally be like Banshees could be in your base with Cloak in the next like 25 to 30 seconds, if that was what he was doing. All right. So yeah, like you have a good economy. Your mineral income is great. Your saturation is on par. You have a baneling nest. Your baneling nest, I would say, is a bit late. You want to start your baneling nest with your first 50 gas after you start the layer. I'm going to go back in your build, actually, for a quick sec, and I want to look at your gas. I want to make sure your gas is not messed up, because we just talked a lot about your scouting. All right.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when to start my layer, too. So.
Yeah, no worries. So what I think you should do is you should leave one drone like you kind of have on your gas while you saturate your mineral lines. As soon as you get 2 fully saturated mineral lines, your next 2 drones should saturate the gas. So you have 19 out of 16 right now. On your natural, you should just rip 2 drones off this and put them on the gas. Like, because you would still maintain at least 16 per mineral line, which would be great.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah.
And then you start saturating your third base. When your third base has, like, we're talking like half to 2/3 saturation, okay? Between 8 and 12 drones on it. You could take gases 2 and 3. And then again, when you take, every time you take gas, I do not want you to rip drones off your gas and then put them on it. I want you to build new drones and then put them into the gas.
Wait, so you take gas 2 and 3 as soon as like my third has like half saturation?
Like half to 2/3.
Oh shit. Okay, because I think I'm starting my gas 2 and 3 like.
Hey Junker, thank you so much for the 20 fucking subs.
Next,
oh my god.
15 seconds.
I appreciate you, dude. Yeah, no, if you start it at like like again 8 to 12 drones on your third. What's going to happen is it doesn't really disrupt your larva at that point because you have enough income to still maintain spinning your larva effectively, but it allows you to actually have a baneling nest and a layer finishing at the same time, and then also getting baneling speed. And if this dude is the kind of player that's like, I'm going to be really aggressive and I'm going to push you with, like, I'm the kind of guy that's going to have tanks on the low ground near your main base, and I'm going to leapfrog a medevac of 8 Marines into your main. I'm just going to keep being annoying as fuck. If he's that kind of a guy, it allows you to have baneling speed to where you can kind of deal with this kind of a player better, where you can just like actually collapse on him faster and you don't have to get abused by tanks all day. If you wait on your gas too long, your baneling speed is going to be super delayed. So yeah, again 8 to 12 drones. That's the perfect time to take gases 2 and 3 wherever the fuck you want to take them. It doesn't really matter. And then yeah, the next 6 drones you make, you can be like, make 3 drones, right click a gas, make 3 drones, right click a gas, because you can just rally the egg into the gas while it's building, and then it'll make the drones, and you're good to go. And then go back to droning, and then you know, from there, while you're scouting, you can gauge, do I need to make units, can I still make drones? But that's great gas timing for that. So you're going to your first gas. It's a little late to resaturate. Okay, but then you also don't do this. Don't ever rip off your mineral line. Never ever do that. Always maintain 16 if you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because now I'm at 14, 16.
Yeah, it's huge because right now all you're having is inefficient mining at this point. And then these other 2 gases are too early, like we talked about just a second ago. Yeah. And what you want to do is your layer. So your larva is always the priority, okay? There's 3 list checklist priority here. Number 1 is your larva. Spin it as efficiently as you can. Number 2 is your queens. Get yourself up to 7 queens. Like, don't queue them up, but just make sure the hatchery is building a queen. It's not just idle if you can. But yeah, don't ever do like 2 at the same time, where it's like 1 queen's gonna finish and 30 seconds later another queen's gonna start, but it's queued the whole time. And so queens are second priority. Third priority will be your tech, okay? So as long as you have your larva spin and then you have your queen started, then you can be like, okay, well both my hatcheries have a queen started that's like halfway into production, and my larva is all spent. I will now start my layer. And you can see this game, you've started your gas at your natural really early. You're a little like non-optimally saturated, where you have 21 drones at your natural, but I assume now this is going to be because you want to rip 6 off to put them on your gas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that may make sense for that. But because your gas is so early, look at your larva. And because your layer is so early, your larva is at 5 and it's just chilling.
5, yeah.
And you do have some money that you can spend to fix that. But at the same time, like, it's just your build is going to start slowly slipping off and falling behind because if you saturate this gas properly, you're going to have so much fucking gas, like more like a bit more than you need. And then it's going to promote you to feel things that, like, it feels correct to be like, okay, maybe I take like maybe a really fast Hydrogen or a really fast Spire or really fast upgrades. And it's not necessarily the right thing to do. Because that's usually the people's problems when they're having builds that are inefficient is they mine gas way too fast and then they feel like they have to spin the gas to macro properly. When it's actually, it just fucks your build hard if you just keep draining your minerals faster than you should be because you prioritize gas too fast.
Huh, okay, cool.
So yeah, like just close, but a little bit later on the 2 and 3 gas, and you'll be a lot more better off that way. But even though you did it this way, you still mostly got to a good saturation, like pretty well. Like you still were at 60 drones when your opponent was like fucking 42 SCVs, which is still good. And just imagine how much it could be even better, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then so the last thing I didn't say yet is just like how I was talking about how tech is your last priority after queens and larva. Your layer is going to be first, and then your next time you go to your tech and you can afford to spend an extra expense, you make a baneling nest while you're starting the layer. So, on average, your baneling nest will usually be getting thrown down when your layer is at like maybe 15 seconds into production, or so, which is perfect because a baneling nest build time is 43 seconds, and 15 seconds into a layer's build time is going to put you at 42 seconds until the layer's done, which means that the layer finishing then allows you to get baneling speed. So that means the second the baneling nest is done, you get baneling speed.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, okay. So you never really like have slow banes.
Exactly. Yeah, because that is, if you're gonna play Ling Bane styles, that is the priority. You have to get baneling speed ASAP, because if you don't, there are so many timings that are 2 base timings that your opponent could just kill you with. And I feel like you're gonna run into those kinds of players heavily when you're in the bracket between 4 and 5k MMR. Like, wow, another all in, another all in, another all in, another all in. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was watching your rounds to GM series, and like at that point you're saying everyone is just fucking all in.
They fucking are, dude. Like everyone does it. It's crazy. So yeah, prioritizing baneling speed will help you so much for that shit. It'll be really good.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. And then at this stage, once you get to about like roughly around 6 minutes and you have your gases all started, this is appropriate for a Hydra style, which is what you're doing. I like that you're going for your Evo chambers paired with your Hydrogen as well. And I would say your Hydrogen is just this is like a bit more minor in the things that I've told you so far, but it is still relevant to a point. It's not as efficient as it could be. Try to make this maybe a little bit later, because again, what's happening is you're ripping your minerals, your drones off your mineral line, so you're undersaturating again, and then if your gas, so like, no worries.
Sorry.
All right. Like I just want you to make maybe a little bit more drones so that you can have, when you build like your gas and you build your Evo chamber and you build your Hydrogen, you have excess to work with. So you're still trying to mostly maintain 16. Because if you ever dip down like this, it's not super efficient. Because the difference is you're not going for a timing either defensively or aggressively, where it's like these Hydras have to be out the second it's done. Like it doesn't need to be. So all that's going to happen is it's just like convenience for you, where you're like, oh nice, I have Hydras a little bit earlier, it feels good, but you're mining a little bit less efficiently, which is actually just going to dip your overall bank down just a little bit more. And if the more you do this, the more you dip it again and again and again, and you're always going to be lower in supply than you should be. Like the way you did it at your 3rd base, perfect. You're oversaturated, you take gas, that's fucking great. It's like you're not ripping your drones off. As long as you either maintain perfect or oversaturation, and then you take it shortly after, that's great, because you're always maintaining a good economy. But the way you're doing it in your main is not efficient. It's just you're ripping off and it's falling off again.
It's kind of crazy. Like, I was just 3 drones out of the 16 makes a ton of difference. Like,
yeah, each, like, well, because if you think about it like this, think about like percentages, and like think about if you put 1 out of like 1 out of 16. What percentage is that? I don't actually know off the top of my head, but
1 out of 60.
yeah, 1 out of 16.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's like 7% or some shit, something around there.
Yeah.
Like so, if you rip off 3 drones, I'm just gonna throw it out there and just say it's 7%. Let's just say that's 21% of your economy then.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Wow. What? Never saw that like that.
People say they said it's 6.25. That's the exact number. So yeah, no, it's huge. So that's 18.75%
20%
of your economy.
like that's just gone.
Yeah, it's
What?
so you'd really you'd really want to maintain like ideal saturation. It's super important.
You just blown my mind.
Yeah,
my mind is blown right now. Yeah. Okay.
So that's definitely important stuff right there. And then at this point, once you if you're gonna go for the Hydra style, which you are, it's great. I like it. It's a great style to do. Once you have 66 drones, so you're fully saturated on 3 bases, the next thing I want you to do, while you then start building units again, is I want you to build a 4th base, and I want you to build a macro hatch.
Yeah, in my main. I think I'm doing it like right now.
Yeah. I'm sure we're about to see it. But that's definitely the next stage of what you got to do. And it doesn't matter where you build the macro hatch, but you do need one, because this style is so larva expensive. Because it's a Zergling based style, you definitely need extra larva.
I thought I was doing it, but I don't think so.
Yeah, you're getting a little bit crazy on the lings right now. I would say making the lings.
Well, at this point, I think like in that game, I think I'm scared because like I'm looking at my base and I'm like, okay, my enemy looks good.
Yeah.
But like you see, like I'm missing like 2 drones on my 3rd, and like I'm missing like 3 drones on my 1st, but at my main.
Yeah,
but I'm not thinking like that at that point. So yeah, that was a mistake. I might have like overdone it with the lings.
Yeah. I would say if you so there's like 2 stages of lings. There's actually 3. There's the first Reaper stage where you make like 4 lings and you do it with the Reaper. There's the second stage of lings where I talked about where you make like 10 to 14 when your speed is about done, so you can deal with Hellions if he decides to dive into your base. And then the final stage of lings, if you haven't actually killed anything yet, like let's say he has not done anything to you yet, so he hasn't lost a single unit, and you know that he's been stockpiling units as well, it would be okay then to make a 3rd stage of lings, which would be like, let's say like another 16. When you're at that stage where you're just about to make Hydras, you could also be like, okay, I could get attacked by something really aggressive here pretty soon. I can make like another 16 lings just so I could have some ling bane just in case this guy goes really aggressive. But that usually pairs with, there's 2 things Darren has to do to make that really be that way. And that is, number 1, he loses 0 units throughout the entire game. So he doesn't harass you, or everything he did harass you with didn't die. And number 2, you never saw a 3rd base. And you're like, fuck, okay, I might take some damage here. Maybe I need to get some extra lings out just in case. And then I can saturate and then make more lings again.
Again, like at this time, I'm pretty blind in the game. Like I didn't scout recently, so I'm not like I don't even know like if he has units in front of his base.
Yeah, well, you should know. I would say this: if you saw a 3rd base, you should feel okay to get off of the early lings that you had. Okay, like we're talking about the initial Reaper lings, and then the 10 to 14 Hellion lings. Those lings should make you feel safe enough to saturate 3 bases if you're fucking fast at it. Like if you're prioritizing it and you do it quick. Because the reason why is because if your creep spread is also decent, which is what you should be working on too. You should definitely be. Your creep spread right now is not bad. You have a decent amount of creep in front of your natural. Actually, in front of your natural is good. In front of your 3rd is okay. It could be a little bit better, but it's still not that bad. The point I'm trying to make here is if the guy would have done a 3rd command center timing before 7 minutes, which would be the part where you'd be feeling unsafe because you're like droning to full still, you would still have those safety lings you had earlier, which you could then turn into banelings, and behind that you could also then go, oh shit, he's attacking me, with a little tiny army, because it would be tiny if he had a 3rd CC, if he was doing it before 7 minutes. So then you could just be like, all right, well now with all my larvae that I have, and from now on, I'm just going to make lings for the next like 30 seconds to make sure I'm okay here. And then so you have banelings already being started, you have lings being started, and then by the time he gets to your actual hatchery, because you should have creep that reveals this to you, you're like, oh cool, well now maybe I had to pull my drones for like 5 seconds, but now my units are spawning and I'm fine. Like you would totally be fine if he did that.
Okay.
So that's the safety lings you had earlier could just become banes and you'd be great. Because you got to realize if you do see he has a 3rd command center, that army he could attack you with is going to be small. It's not going to be like, holy shit, 2 base all in, we're dead. But if this was a 2 base all in, that is a different story. That's like, if you never saw a third and he never lost anything, that's when, yeah, like the lings you made now, I would be like, okay, I'm not going to say it's the worst, because if this dude was going to do like 4 tanks, like 25 Marines, 3 medevacs, and he just like starts setting up on you, that could be a problem if you don't deal with it quickly, and he kills your creep and shit.
So you're saying that like, if this guy was doing like a 2 base all in right now, the amount of ling that I have at this very moment is okay?
Yeah. Like, okay, your drone count is not, it's not perfect. It's not that bad though. You're 3 under at the moment.
Because I think what's happening next is he's gonna push with like a kind of small army, and I think it's not going well. So, well, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah.
Okay. And okay, I'm gonna, before we go into this, I'm just gonna say right now, the reason why this kind of a fight is gonna be a lot harder for you to deal with.
My queens.
Well, it's not necessarily your queens, in my opinion. It's your bailing speed.
Don't watch streamers, but loved your B2TM stuff and motivated me to get into the game 10 years late. Love you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had bailing speed like prioritized, you could actually, because the thing is right now, like if you have an army like you do, crashing on him before your creep recedes with bailing speed would be massive here. But if you wait until bailing speed is done, then what's going to happen is you're waiting until your creep gets receded all the way back to your hatchery, and now that's going to allow him to have a setup. So it's just going to make the fight harder for you. And then also, if he's a parade pushing type of player, which he looks like he kind of is, he's going to also reinforce his army the longer this waits. So you have 2 choices to make now. One is, do I wait for bailing speed? And if the answer is yes, which you should, you honestly, the perfect response for you right now should be, I'm just going to make lings. Just keep making lings. I'm not going to bleed my lings out. I'm just going to keep making them. I'm going to start a new hatchery somewhere else, like maybe on the base left of my main base. And then if he ever like really overextends the Marines and runs away from the tanks really far, I'll jump on him then. But if he like does like a safety push where he actually pushes correctly with everything, the Marines, if I engage that, I'm going to take losses. Just let your fucking base die and just rotate your drones to a different base by the time he gets to your base. And then
so second and third. Okay.
Yeah, it would be the correct thing to do now because you don't have bailing speed. And you're not able to capitalize on it when your creep is starting to be receded. Like, you want to capitalize on this right now if you can. But if you can't, maybe an alternative would be better. Like sacking the base and going somewhere else and taking a new fight when you're ready for it in the next 45 seconds.
Okay.
Yo, thank you for the 20 as well.
I think I'm taking the fight here.
Consummation, thank you, man. I'm doing a coaching lesson.
So
but I appreciate you.
I waste so much Banes inside the tanks, it's cringing.
Exactly.
I'm cringing right now.
It's because of Bane speed. It's just like, Banes actually fucking blow ass if they don't have Bane speed. And then what just happened there is it's like the bleed out effect, where now what just has happened to you now is, number one, for Terran, you just gave him confidence to push you, which he does have. He should push you because you just wiped your army out. And number two, it has now actually compromised your units because everything at your third now just dies as it spawns. Everything at your main and your natural is okay still for now, but it's at the cost of it's all being reset. And you have to now, for sure, your third has to die, or you're just going to try and like continuously flood units as they spawn into his army, which is super inefficient trades for Zerg because you're panicking trying to save your base, and then you just bleed out repeatedly and then die. So being patient, waiting for Bane speed, and then grouping up an army would have been the correct thing to do here.
Okay, nice. I never thought about it this way, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna go back for a second. Watch your third. Look at this.
Yep.
So that's after the fight's over. Look at all these rings in your third.
They're all gonna die. Yeah, everything there is dying. Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah. Oh my.
It's the bleed out effect, man. It sucks.
Huh, okay. Yeah, and I'm still doing units. Yeah.
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 And then that one was okay because you engaged with it, but at this point you're so far behind that it's like,
yeah.
That was nice to utilize the larva that way. That was a good use of that specific moment, but everything up to this point has now led you to a deficit of almost 30 supply.
Yeah, so at this point in the game, I'm super far behind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, and also not having a third as like a, because again, it wasn't on your mind to be like, okay, let's sack the base. You did want to save it because you didn't start a fourth. So
I thought I could fight that.
No, exactly.
With
yeah.
slow bane. Yeah.
And if you had speed banes, you totally could have fought that. You could have beaten that and pushed it back. But now that your your third and fourth is sort of delayed because you were hoping to guard the natural, you have such an oversaturated natural that, or sorry, you were trying to guard the third that now your natural is oversaturated. It's
just to make sure that I understand correctly, like by sacking the turn, the third, okay?
Yeah.
And like massing unit with slow banes and waiting, like I'm guaranteed to win the next fight.
Yes.
And not bleed. So basically, like that's like you just don't want to bleed, right?
Yeah. Like you want to keep your units in the area, but you do not want to engage his army because you don't want him to have confidence to push. You want him to feel like, if I push too fast, I'm gonna die. Which is true, because if he did push too fast, you would kill him. If he like unsieges everything and just walks forward, you're like, okay, now I'll go, and you die. But if he actually leapfrogs and slow crawls it, your third can still mine actively for such a long time that by the time you do then have to transfer and sack the third, your fourth, which is now your new third, is basically done. And all you really lose is like the transfer of mining time. And then on top of that, you also maximized, still utilizing a lot of your larva. So you could have squeezed out maybe another like 20 lings just off the third alone.
Yeah. So at this point, like, and that's one of the times then that like I do have a question right now.
Yeah.
Like at this point, like my third just died. I'm building like a fourth and a third again.
Yep.
And like my income right now, it's like I'm at 60 drones.
Yeah.
And right now I'm like, what do I do? Like, am I building more drones for my upcoming bases, or like do I just mass unit, or like I don't have a lot of larva too at this point.
There's two ways to play it out. There's one way to play it out. They're both risky. You're behind as fuck, so both ways are risky. But one thing you could do is you could be conservative with your units. You could feign pressure, or you could do real pressure if it looks super wide open and exposed. So like if your choice is I'm gonna make drones, you play conservative with your units. You poke with what you have. You don't mass units. You just use what you have. Like, and we're talking like maybe you make 30 lings and you're good. And you're like, okay, let's poke the natural. Terran's like, oh shit, he's gonna run in my natural. Go defend my natural. And you're like, okay, no, it's not. I don't want to fight that. It's got a bunker. Let's just say it's fully walled off or something. I can't fight that. Okay, now go around the other side. Poke the third. Okay, poke the third. You just keep him busy by poking and not throwing your shit away. Because if you throw your shit away, again, it's confidence, and he goes, oh, shit died, let's counter push. And you keep poking him while you drone, and then you hard switch into making units while you're hopefully.
Like, what do you mean by poking? Like
make him see, make it. You test it. You run at him and you go, can I do damage here? If the answer is no, you run away. If the answer is yes, you commit. And when I say do damage here, I mean you're not going to throw your units away. I mean, it's like, look, oh shit, that's like a supply depot was down, and I just ran into his fucking natural, and now I'm killing 15 SCVs.
Yeah, okay.
But if you're poking him and you're like, okay, well, there's like 30 Marines here with 3 medevacs, don't fucking attack that. Run away, go somewhere else, and try to poke somewhere else. You just, because the more bases he takes, the more exposed he will be, and the more the poking has a potential to actually, like, you'll keep him running around his base, because all you're doing is, even if you're not doing damage, you're buying yourself time to eco up. Because if you just sit there defensively and you just eco up, again, your Terran's going to be like...
I'm never going to win that race.
Because what you can do is, it's indirectly, you're keeping the Terran thinking, okay, this guy's all in, all I got to do is defend myself. If I'm ahead, I know I'm ahead as Terran, all I got to do is defend myself and not take damage here, because the Zerg is being aggressive, but you're really not. You're just poking and being conservative with it. If the Terran's like, if I just defend, don't take damage, I can eventually push and I'll be okay. If you don't poke at all, though, the Terran's going to be like, well, I'm super far ahead, and this guy's probably droning right now because he's not attacking me, so I'm going to go kill him now. And if you are droning, you're just dead then. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like you're buying yourself just time if you play the drone style. However, if you play the I'm going to make units now and we're going all in style, a great thing to do then would be maybe add in some type of mobility to it. Like maybe make like a Nidus or like a Drop Lord or something. Because if you just run straight up in the front door of his base, especially if he has a planetary fortress, it might not be the best for you. Yeah. But then it would just be like, how can I do creative ways to attack him that might net me a win here? And like, if, for instance, if you got a Nidus, you Nidus like 20 lings into his main base. Once you do that, let's say you have another 20 banelings and like 30 lings outside of his third base, and as he rotates his entire army to defend the Nidus at his main base, you just blow up the planetary. And then you know, you're making more units again, and now you're making another round of Ling Bane, and you're getting ready for like his counterattack. Maybe you get Burrow, and you hope that he walks over a fucking landmine, stuff like that. Because again, you are behind, so trying to be a cost efficient with engagements in some way, shape, or form is the way you have to play it. If you go the unit route, but not just going, all right, I'm gonna make Mass Ling Bane and do one big A move where his entire army is also at the planetary, and I'm gonna just.
What would you do in that spot?
What would I do in the spot where I'm making mass units?
Okay.
No, that what are you? Sorry, are you asking me what would I do?
Yeah. Would you like Nidus or would you?
Well, I would personally, I would get. I would say if I was gonna, I would. Okay, so I see what you're saying. My bad. I would make drones if I were you. I would, because I think that's like the more consistent option. But if I was gonna be the aggressor here, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go aggressive now. I personally would probably make something cost efficient, whether it be Infestors, whether it be Burrow, whether it be Mutas, and also whether it be a Nidus. That a Nidus is an option. And then I would just constantly try to attack him where he is not defending, rip him out of where he is defending, and then attack him again where he just was. Like, you just keep sending little bits of your army to pull him somewhere else, and then attack him with bigger parts of your army where he's not defending.
Okay.
That's like a great way to break someone down, cost efficiently, when you're when you're being the aggressor, basically. So you basically just never throw your whole army at him, and that's your only attack. Because if your only attack is going to be, if you're the one who's behind, and you're attacking him with your whole army, and you're like, fuck it, hope this works, it's never going to work. Because unless he's like really out of position and he's like, whoops, I had my whole army in medevacs and I was in the middle of the map and now I'm going to turn around, and he's that kind of like just that random situation happened, which is really rare. If he has his army like just kind of chilling, you're never going to win. The only time attacking with your whole army works is if you're the one who's ahead and you're like, well, I can afford to do this because I can just muscle him over because I have more shit. So that's when it works. But yeah, so I would just always try to be cost efficient and try to misdirect him, be like, hey, look, go defend that, and I'm going to fuck you over here. Go defend that, now I'm going to kill your base over there.
Okay.
So you just keep getting him to go left, but you kill right. You get him to go right, but you kill left. And again, you could do it with a Nidus. If you do it with a Nidus, that would just be Ling Bane, maybe get Burrow and Nidus. If you get like Mutas, you could do it with Muta Ling Bane. You could do Mutas on one side, Ling Bane on the other side. Like, make him chase the Mutas while killing him with Ling Bane. If you did it with like Infestors, you could like, for instance, let's just say hypothetically, he was at his third base, okay? And I have Infestors between his third and his natural. And I send another round of like Ling Bane at his natural, and I bust the depots down with like 8 Banelings, and I run like 20 Lings into his natural. And he goes, oh shit, I need to run over and defend my natural. And while he's mid-transit, stim packing back to his natural, I fungal growth his entire army. And I just fucking wipe out a bunch of bio. Stuff like that. Like, just think of creative ways to be cost efficient.
Okay.
Which is advanced. Nice. Like, all these things are, that is kind of advanced. The idea I want you to really take away from this lesson is I want you to go, okay, let's just not get myself in this position. Let's just macro properly. And how is that going to happen? That this game would be Baneling speed. A little bit more efficient on the gas, and then Baneling speed properly, and you would have been fine.
Okay, cool.
My chat's saying breathe vibe. Guys, my nose is pretty blocked, so it's hard to breathe and talk at the same time. But yeah, that's just all it would be.
Cool.
I like that you're starting. I like your tech though. At this point, 2/2 paired with the infestation pit is perfect. You can start if you start a hive right after. That's absolutely perfect. Because
it finishes as soon as like the 2/2 finishes.
Yeah,
you can start.
Yep, that's super good. Nice. Yeah, you did it perfectly. And then.
And this is where the drop starts. Like, I'm getting drop everywhere, and I just like I'm handling it, but still like at this point I know I already lost the game. Like as soon as I saw the medevac, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Because I know what's happening. What's going to happen.
He's doing this because you're not
harassing.
Yeah, exactly. So if you get, and the thing is if you get really high level, we're talking like Masters 1 GM type stuff, even if you're harassing, this still could happen. Like the Terran could be at the level of going, I'll defend your harass and I'll simultaneously drop you at the same time with like 2 drops. Okay. That is higher level shit, and once you're at that stage, you're gonna have to be able to multitask that much as well. You're gonna have to be able to you know, keep him feeling defensive, but at the same time also making a judgment call to make enough units to defend drops, which that comes from kind of just gauging the game how you go and just seeing how everything develops. Yeah, exactly. But for now, again, this situation is going to be ultra hard mode because you're so behind.
Yeah.
But the proper way to deal with this, honestly, I would say, is don't defend this with control groups anymore. Or if you do defend it with control groups, green box shit off of it every time. So for instance, if you go, like, let's just say you go group 1, attack my 3rd base and middle right, which is, let's just say everything is on group 1, okay? And you go, everything's going to my 3rd base, and that's that. And you know, it's like 60 supply or like 50 supply of army to defend 1 drop. What you could do is while that's happening, you could green box a chunk of it. It does not have to be perfect. Just green box a nice chunk of your army and move towards where the other medevac is going in your base, and just let it be. So then at that point, you stop using control groups, and then you just look at the screen where it is, and you go, all right, my 3rd, move the lings in that area to where the medevac is, like in general, and then we're good. And the main green box the army in that area towards where the medevac is generally, and you're good, because you have such an overwhelming amount of units anyways. It doesn't have to be microed flawlessly. Like we're talking about 10 supply fighting like 30 supply. So it does, again, he's going to load if you at all attack him, and if he just doesn't pay attention, his shit's gonna die. And yeah, I gotta say one thing before we continue. Consummation, thank you for the 20, man. I do appreciate it. So we are doing a coaching lesson, so I'm trying to focus my full attention on the coaching lesson. But if you're gonna head out, I do appreciate the 20, dude. Much love. Have a great fucking night, dude. Thank you. But yeah, just spreading your units out is ideal. What you just want to do. Again, it doesn't have to be micro through control groups. Just sloppy micro is okay here. Just hey, move over there. Fuck it. Let's focus on droning, and go from there.
Okay.
And that's just how you'll always deal with drops when it's in the drop phase of Terran. Just always have units in the area just to handle it. That way you're not in the situation where you're that guy going 1A move there. Oh shit, 1A move over there. Okay, he's over there. Yeah. 1A move again the other way. And everything's just being like
just getting
pulled. Yeah, exactly. That's like the worst. Another tip, really quick. At this stage, everything is going to need to be used because you're low supply. But in games where you have an overwhelming amount of supply, it is actually not the worst thing in the world to do something like, for instance, go, all right, I'm going to make 20 lings or 30 lings, and I'm going to A-move them to my 3rd base, which is the outer base. It's like the edge of your base, which is where the drop is always going to go first, and you just never control group it. You leave it.
You just leave it there.
Yeah, you literally leave it there. And then as soon as you take a base, like let's just say your middle right is your 3rd base, okay? And then let's just for the sake of an example, let's say your 4th base is below that, south on the map. So now your 4th base is in a line straight down and kind of bottom right. You can rotate those lings that are not control grouped down to that base now. Just go down there and defend that new base now. And they just stay uncontrol grouped. You can even put them on patrol if you want to. Just let them stay. Okay. And then every time a drop comes, it's like, you don't even have to, like, you'll never find yourself, you'll never find yourself being like, fuck, I gotta send my army over there to defend that. You have lings there that'll just absorb it. Because if the Terran is dedicating supply to drop you, and you're dedicating supply to absorb drops, you both are still maintaining the same amount of supply roughly in the middle of the map. Usually. Like it's gonna be similar. And then if you're also fighting on creep, you're gonna be taking great fights. If you're fighting off creep, you're gonna be taking poor fights. That's just how Terran versus Zerg goes. But if you have drop absorbers, basically, that could help you at doing things like dealing with drops less often and doing things like spreading creep more often, because it alleviates your tasks. It lets you do more things like spread your creep, and then it allows you to have more chances to fight on creep because you have bigger creep spread.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then the final thing is, if you want to as well, let's just say you have a really nice Overlord spread and a good creep spread, and you just know there are no drops on the map, you could then be like, select all army, let's take everything, and just fucking go. Because I know there's no active drops anywhere, because I have good vision everywhere. One more tip too, just something that I'm seeing in this game, kind of pairing with what I just said. When you build Overlords, what generally, like if you could just like walk yourself through it, like if you were just about to build an Overlord in a game, how would you do that? Would you just build it and like send it to your main or something?
Like, let's say I'm doing an Overlord right now.
Yeah.
Like it depends. Like if it's early game and it really depends. Like if a lot of stuff is happening in the background, I might like just queue it up and don't think about it. But like normally I just like take one and like we'll put it somewhere on the map that I don't have any vision, so you can see like at the top side of the map, like I have 3, and then like a little bit like on the, well actually I don't have it near my 3rd, but yeah.
Because I will say it seems like you do that early game, then you kind of just stop doing it, and it might have been because you got distracted by the tank push and stuff like that, and you just forgot about it. But and then because I see also an Overlord powwow in your main where there's like 10 of them. But like I would say every Overlord up till almost like max should be spread on the map, where it's like just like you did on the top middle. That's perfect. Like that's perfect spreading. You have such good vision where it's like the smallest bit of fog between Overlords, where you'll pretty much always see medevacs. Like it's like each Overlord is like a chance. So nothing is ever 100% in StarCraft. It just isn't, because there's always user error. That's always going to happen. But each one of these Overlords represents a chance of you spotting a drop, spotting a drop, spotting a drop, spotting a drop. So if you have like 6 along the top, you have 6 chances to constantly see drop, 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 drop. Same thing with the bottom side. And then the more of the map you see, the easier it is just to also, with peripheral, see like everything is like, all my Overlords are static. They're sitting there. They're stationary. But there's a fucking dot on the map that is just it's cruising across one side of the map, and you're like, yep, that is a medevac coming to my base, or it's a liberator. It's every additional Overlord you have makes it that much easier to see shit with your peripheral. So
cool.
And that's how it is like for Zerg. This is like a Zerg thing specifically. It is easier to read the map the more of it you see, because everything you see is static. It's stationary. Everything that is moving towards you aggressively is moving, and your eyes, the way they work is they always spot movement and not static. It's like T-Rex. Oh, it's moving. I notice it. I see it.
Nice.
So it's yeah, man. The more vision you have, the better it is, obviously, and that's the main reason why. So I would say just really, really try to do that as well all game if you can. It'll make everything super beneficial for you. But yeah, overall, mostly like this game is just rough because you're playing so far behind. But what you're doing is not necessarily bad. Like you have a lot of things you're doing is like you're going down the right track. So that's good.
Cool. Yeah, this next engage like is god awful.
Oh, it's gonna be because you're so far behind.
I'm really bad at controlling my Banes. Like I think I don't know what to do. Like I'm gonna waste them inside like a bunch of like Marauder. Like actually I don't even have Banes at this point. Okay,
let's talk about
next
this.
Time.
We're gonna talk about this for 1 second, and I'll give you a tip on how to micro Banelings effectively.
Perfect.
So biggest thing of all, again, is like I know you're behind, so you gotta. I don't want to beat you over the head and be like, you shouldn't have been behind this game, but we're gonna talk about it if this was an ideal situation, okay?
Yeah.
If your creep spread was better, you got to be really careful about how you take fights with Terran, and like what you just did there. I know you might not have seen it, but you have to be really careful about not letting your army kind of, again, it's that bleed off effect where you let it kind of just like engage, and you're like, oh, well, you know what? This is bad. Let's just back up now after I just lost 30 supply. Like if you ever do that kind of shit, that is a great way to throw the game away as Zerg, because Zerg is generally low range compared to Terran's high range. Like lit tanks, liberators, all outrange Hydras like fucking crazy. Marines, Marauders, outrange Zergling, Baneling like crazy. Terran is all about absorbing you as you engage, so you never want to engage unless you're willing to take the losses and then collapse on the rest of his army. But instead, if what you're doing is you're taking the losses and then retreating away, you're just falling behind to where that's always going to happen to you until you're dead.
Okay, so you never really want to fight it until you know you can just crush it.
Yes. So again, this is one of the situations where if you're like, fuck, he has a big army. I know he's got a big army. This is bad. They have two options right now, and neither one of them is fighting his army right now. One option would be, okay, maybe I run across the map and base trade, and hopefully he turns around and I buy time to build more units and turn this game into something weird. Or you sack the base, go somewhere else, and buy more time to build more army. Because if you fight this army right now with what you're lower supply than him because you've been fucked over so many times. If you just go, all right, I'm going to fight that army, it is the lack of patience mindset that a lot of players have in StarCraft where it's a lose-lose condition where they just kind of want the situation to be over, but they know they're going to die. So there are ways to get around it, but attacking his army right now is not one of them, and all that's going to cause is you bleeding out until you're dead.
I really like how you're explaining the bleeding effect. I never really saw it, but like since you're talking about bleeding, and like I understand what you mean.
Yeah, like it's just you're not dead yet, but you're definitely going to be there soon if you keep going the rate you're going.
Definitely see the matchup in a different way.
Yeah. So definitely just always try to take fights when you know you're gonna crush. And if you do your build optimally, you should always be in a good, position to take a good fight. If there's things that interrupted you, like let's say I didn't realize Banshees were being made and I just lost a bunch of drones, or Hellions killed a bunch of my drones, or something critical happened to you where you just didn't defend properly, then you might not be in a position to take a good fight early. And now you got to think, how can I handle this in a way where I can buy more time to, deal with what's happening. But in a standard game where you're left to your own devices to macro like a fucking Zerg, just greedy god basically, like you can totally get by with a lot of drones, or like at the early stage to allow you to have a good supply to collapse and crush at the time when it's appropriate to do that, when he pushes you basically.
Okay, nice.
What else am I gonna say? The banelings. That's what I was gonna say. So we'll just say like this was a similar supplied fight. Okay, let's say you had a chance to win the fight here. A great way to win the fight is honestly, you could don't just A-move his army straight up, especially if you have Hydras in your army, because they're gonna create a concave that's gonna block melee units behind them. What you want to do, if the best way I can explain this properly is like, let's just say look at the top of your ramp where your Hydras are. They're sitting on top of 2 creep tumors. You have like 3 Banes there. Yeah, like the left army of the clump of it. So let's say your whole army's there. Okay, let's say you have like 180 supply there right now. The perfect way to micro that would be literally to say, let's say it's all in 1 as well. You could go 1 A move down the ramp, not towards his army, but the south ramp, to give yourself a bigger concave. A move the whole army there, and then green box it, and tell half of it to stay where it is right now. So you've just divided your Hydra army in 2, basically. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just you're gonna have a little bit of a spread now. And then now, so it's gonna make a bigger concave of surface area that your Ling Bane can they can just wiggle through and not get stuck behind the Hydras. So that's step 1, making a concave, making a bigger engagement. And then even better scenario would be if you could flank him too, but that's not really an option right now because your base is dying.
I don't have anything to.
if you wanted to sack the base, you could go for a flank and just give yourself more time to set up a new fight elsewhere. But the more surface area, the better. That's just the number 1 rule here, okay? Number 2 would be put your Banelings on their own control group, but leave them in group 1 as well. Get in the habit of doing this. So like, let's just say 2 is Banelings, 1 is everything. And then what you want to do is you could go 1 A-move his army, and then as soon as you're on A-move, and A-move is appropriate once you've preset a good concave. Like the more surface area you give yourself to engage the Terran, the better the 1 A-move is going to perform. And then once it's engaging, you don't have to micro your Hydras, you don't got to micro your Lings really anymore, because now you can focus on your Banes, and you just go Baneling, move command, and you move command all over his fucking Marines. You do not A-move, you move command them. So they're not blowing up on tanks, they're not blowing up on Marauders. And if you want to be really advanced with it, if you want to be like a fucking really high, like, if you want to practice high level play, if your opponent has some type of AoE like tanks, you could actually green box and go like my ball of Banes, green box the right side, go to the right, green box the left side, go to the left. Now on the new ball that's still there, green box the right side of the new ball that still exists in the middle, some of that, go to the right. Green box, some of the on the left, go to the left. So yeah, you make your banes go in kind of a concave, and every time you split them, you once again tell them to go forward, but you're splitting them as you go forward. So you're constantly spreading your banes out, so they're not getting just clumped AoE'd like crazy, but you're spreading them so that when they do absorb AoE, they take less losses, but you're still maximizing moving forward to jump on the Marines. And then also like every time they die, they're still damaging things they're passing, like a tank or marauder, while you're chasing the Marines, because whether you A-move them or whether they die by getting killed, they still explode the same way, and they still do damage. So you're just maximizing more banelings getting on top of more Marines, and you're eliminating more of the DPS that needs to die, because marauders and tanks are not scary for a bunch of Lings and Hydras. It's really just the Marines. And that's ideally how you don't want to micro that. So at the very least, just move Commander Banes under the Marines, and you're going to get way better trades.
Cool.
And then, yeah, man. Yo, Jason, thank you for the raid, man. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. And yeah, like this game is it's just rough. It's just everything culminating in you being so far behind that, like these fights, it's just gonna feel painful because you're gonna be like, well,
yeah, I feel like handicapped, like.
Yeah, you're like, I engaged and everything died, and it's just because you're down by 50 supply, 60
all my
supply.
banes are suiciding into marauders, and yeah. I'm super far behind.
Yeah, and it's just that concept where this is one of those moments where if you don't have a good amount of supply, this is something I haven't said yet, and it's another way I want to explain it. Lingbane Hydra is like a brute force army where it only makes sense to engage if you have advantages. It's not cost efficient. It will look terrible if you have inefficient, like a deficiencies in your army. Yeah, you're like, if you're down in supply, you're just gonna get fucking crushed.
But that was really stupid. Like I never like. I think I was just pissed at this point, and like I moved, and I knew that I was done. But like normally I would have let like the Terran go in on the creep and like go inside like this huge area of the ramp. But yeah,
sure.
Even if he would have gone there, like there's no way.
You're still dead. I'm not gonna lie. The only way you had a chance this game is if you decided to just base trade him, and then he decided to go, you know what, I'm gonna unsiege and go back and defend my base, and he somehow loses like every fucking SCV while he runs back across the map, and then you don't even lose your army, you just run away and you get him to chase you some more, and you build more army, and then you somehow build enough of an army to kill his one and only army that he has, and then because he doesn't have any more mining for whatever, that would be like the only way you could win this. You were so far behind at this point that if he just pushes you and lifts off his command centers, you're still dead. You're just gonna die. So
building.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's just really like the way I was saying before, it's a brute force army that it only really excels if you have advantages, which is at the very least equal supply, and like creep spread basically, because it's an army that you will always you're going to basically take a shitload of damage, and then you're going to deal the damage as soon as you connect, but you're always going to take damage before you connect, so you have to have just enough. Otherwise you're just gonna bleed and die, and nothing's gonna really make sense for you. So yeah, always try to make that a situation that you're seeing yourself in.
Okay.
And yeah, that comes from everything we talked about up to this point throughout the lesson so far. And then yeah, you'll always have good supply. You'll ideally have good supply amounts. Taking fights on creep. If you ever find yourself in situations where you're attacking the Terran and you don't have creep in his base and he's like defensive, but you're kind of getting close to max, or you are maxed, that's when you could be creative about how you attack, about how the ways we talked about it. Those ways still apply. Like you could do multi-prong attacks on his base. You don't have to necessarily just jump on his army. You could be like, his army's at his third, so how about I split off like 20% of my army and go to his natural, and just I still feign pressure at the third, but I'm not really going to commit to it. Because he has to defend it because I'm here, but now I'm going to have a little bit of my army go collapse on his other base, and I'm just trying to kill workers with like some Banes and Lings or something. That would be a great way to be cost efficient about attacking somebody who is defensive.
Because like, yeah, you're right. Because like, if he decides to push, like I can just fall back and like prepare more units at the front of like in my bases, and then I can just crush his whole army.
Yeah.
The reason he's saying like, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, and that way you're not forcing yourself to take a fight against like a planetary with SimCity with tanks already sieged, and like it's like this massive, holy shit, he's got so much DPS ready to go in this spot, and it's hard to engage it, because the like creep spread for Zerg is like the same thing as SimCity for Terran. It's ideal. It's like an ideal situation where your DPS is maximized because less shit dies and you collapse on Terran faster when you're fighting on creep. Vice versa, if you're fighting when Terran has like their shit behind buildings, you're not getting on his DPS as fast, so his DPS is up longer, which means he's killing your DPS faster for a longer period of time. So the army just like it like sways one way or the other super fast. So you definitely don't want to, if you see a massive disadvantageous fight with this army, the only time it would ever make sense is if you were so far ahead and you had the biggest bank ever, where it's like I have 6,000 minerals and like 4,000 gas. I have like 60 larvae on my hatcheries because I've been injecting and I've been maxed for a while. If I lose this army, I can instantly remax, and I'm okay if I just kill his planetary, because that's like a critical point in the game right now that if I kill that, he is absolutely fucked. Like if it was something like that, it would be okay. But if it's like you're 3 base, he's 3 base, you don't have a bank, don't do that. Like that's just going to throw the game for you, kinda. So yeah, the bigger the lead, the more wasteful you can be. But yeah, it's try to always kind of practice good executing. Like try to always practice well thought out attacks where it's like, okay, this makes sense. I can abuse this. It's not gonna throw everything away, because the more you practice that, the more it'll just kind of like just go through all your games in the future. And it'll just become a pattern for you. Like it'll be something that just happens.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Cool.
You have any questions about anything we talked about?
No, I think I learned a lot. Yeah. Yeah. I see the matchup completely different.
Nice, man. That's good shit. Yeah. Well, I'll have this. I'm gonna turn this into a VOD later tonight after my stream's over, and I will send you a message on Discord again. Basically with the link to go to the video, so you can watch it again whenever you want. And thank you, man. Appreciate appreciate you doing a coaching lesson.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
All right, dude.
Have a good day.
Yeah, have a good day as well, dude. I'll see you next time.
Yep. All right.
All right, later, man. All right, guys. That was a coaching lesson with our Zerg number 5. Thank you very much, dude. And if you guys enjoyed the lesson, go check out more of my coaching lessons. I have a ton of them on YouTube. And thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, much love, everybody. Peace.